Every Thursday the forgotten copier printed one secret. When I accepted a job at a private engineering company, everyone warned me about one room in the basement. They called it the archive, but nobody ever went inside. Sitting in the corner was an ancient office copier covered in dust. According to the maintenance staff, it had been disconnected for years. One Thursday night I stayed late to finish an important report. Just after midnight I heard the sound of paper moving. When I opened the archive door, the old copier had somehow powered on by itself. It slowly printed a single page. It was not a company document. It was a map leading to an abandoned train station on the edge of the city. At the bottom of the page was one sentence: someone has already opened the last door. The next morning I asked everyone about the station. Every coworker claimed the place had been demolished years ago. Something felt wrong. During my lunch break I searched old newspaper archives and finally found a forgotten article. Years earlier several maintenance workers had disappeared inside tunnels beneath that station. The case had never been solved. That night I could not stop thinking about the map. Curiosity finally won. I drove to the abandoned station alone. After searching for nearly an hour, I discovered a rusted metal door hidden behind broken concrete. It had been forced open only recently. Inside the underground room stood another copier exactly like the one in my office. It had no cables and no power source. Yet the machine suddenly came to life. A bright green light flashed across the glass. Instead of copying anything, it printed a photograph. My hands started shaking. The picture showed me standing inside that exact room. The date printed beneath it was almost 4 years old. I had never been there before. Before I could understand what was happening, another page slowly came out. It was tomorrow's newspaper. The headline read, "Engineer disappears after entering abandoned station." Beneath the headline was my photograph. At that exact moment every light inside the tunnel went dark. Then a calm voice whispered from somewhere behind me, "You did not find this place, you came back to it." I spun around the moment I heard the voice, but the tunnel behind me was completely empty. The only sound was the copier printing another page. I picked it up with shaking hands. This time it was a floor plan of the underground tunnels. One section was circled in red. Beside it someone had written, "Storage room 7, do not let them see you." Before I could think, heavy footsteps echoed through the tunnel. Several flashlights appeared in the distance. I hid behind a concrete pillar. As a group of workers walked past, they were wearing uniforms from my company. The strange part was that the logo on their jackets had been discontinued more than 20 years ago. After they disappeared, I quietly followed them. The tunnel opened into a huge underground facility filled with abandoned office equipment. Hundreds of broken copiers, scanners, and printers were stacked from floor to ceiling. Every machine had a metal tag with a person's name attached to it. I recognized several names. They belonged to former employees who had mysteriously vanished over the years. In the center of the room stood a large steel cabinet marked Storage Room 7. Inside were hundreds of employee files. Every file contained photographs, fingerprints, and personal notes. Then I found one with my own name on it. The file was much thicker than all the others. The first page showed my employee photograph, but the joining date was nearly 30 years earlier than it should have been. Page after page contained security reports describing places I had supposedly visited and conversations I did not remember. The final page carried tomorrow's date. Beneath it was a single instruction: report for memory replacement at midnight. Suddenly every copier in the room powered on together. Hundreds of sheets began flying across the floor. Every page carried the exact same message: he remembers too early. Before I could escape, the steel door behind me slammed shut by itself. The steel door slammed shut behind me, and every copier in the underground room suddenly went silent. The only sound left was my own breathing. I grabbed my employee file and searched for another exit. Hidden inside the last page was a small access card with the words Level 9 printed across it. I had never seen that level on any company map. Before I could think any further, a loud alarm echoed through the tunnels. Red emergency lights began flashing. Then every screen in the room switched on at the same time. Instead of security footage, each screen showed me walking through the building from different years. I was wearing different clothes, but it was always me. I followed the access card through a locked elevator that should not have existed. It carried me far below the underground facility. When the doors opened, I stepped into a spotless laboratory filled with glass rooms. Inside every room stood a person wearing my company uniform. They all looked asleep. I walked closer and felt my heart stop. Every single face belonged to me. Some looked older, some looked younger, but they were all unmistakably me. Before I could escape, one of them slowly opened his eyes. He smiled and pointed toward a monitor on the wall. A message appeared: Subject 0 has returned ahead of schedule. A video automatically started playing. It showed a man wearing a lab coat standing beside the forgotten copier. When he turned toward the camera, I realized it was me. He calmly explained that the copier had never predicted disasters. It selected people whose memories had been erased. Every missing employee had actually entered this laboratory. They were not fired, they were replaced. Then he looked directly into the camera and said, "If you are watching this version, the experiment has failed again. Destroy every copy before they remember everything." Suddenly the lights went out. When they came back on, every glass room was empty. The only thing left was the sound of footsteps slowly walking toward me from the darkness. The footsteps stopped just a few feet away from me, but I could not see anyone. Then every light in the laboratory suddenly turned back on. Every glass room was empty. Only one door at the end of the hallway had opened. Above it a metal sign read Memory Core. I walked inside and found a single computer still running. One file was waiting on the screen. Its name was Original Subject. With shaking hands I opened it. Instead of documents, a live camera feed appeared. The person sitting in front of the camera was me. He smiled as though he had been expecting me. The man on the screen spoke calmly. "You believe you are the original because every version believes the same thing. The copier was never a cursed machine. It was a selection system. Whenever one version remembered too much, another version replaced him. You have repeated this journey more times than you can imagine. He pressed a button on his desk. A hidden wall beside me slowly opened. Inside were thousands of employee identity cards. Every card carried my photograph, the dates stretched back for decades. Then I noticed something impossible. The newest card had tomorrow's date. Before I could move, every monitor in the room displayed a countdown. 60 seconds until replacement. The laboratory doors locked automatically. Alarms echoed through the building. Then the copier outside began printing non-stop. Page after page covered the floor. Every sheet carried the exact same sentence. Original memory restored. Suddenly the computer screen changed. Instead of the man, I saw the security cameras. Someone was walking toward the memory core. It was me. Same clothes, same face, same frightened expression. He stopped outside the door and slowly reached for the handle. The countdown reached 0. The lights went out. When they returned, the other version of me was gone. The laboratory doors unlocked as though nothing had happened. I walked outside carrying the final employee file. Inside was only one page, experiment complete. Beneath it was a company photograph taken that same morning. Every employee was smiling at the camera. I searched for myself but could not find my face. Then I noticed the man standing in the back row. He looked exactly like me except he was wearing the badge of the company director. At the bottom of the photograph one final sentence had been printed. The original subject disappeared many years ago. Every person telling this story since then has only been another copy.